Time to look at what the papers are saying, both local and international, on their front pages. We'll have Dr. Constance Ikoku joining us.
Good morning, Indy and Deswa and Nkechi. How are you?
Morning.
Morning. Hello there and welcome to the program. We'll begin with this day newspaper. Nigeria grieves as Army Chief passes at 56. Tinubu world leaders congratulate Trump on his election as 47th U.S. President. Obasanjo, Jonathan, Tambuwal, Egbinedion, Odigi, others celebrate Obasanjo's impact in 8 years. Presidency, over 100,000 vehicles already converted from petrol to CNG. Pinnacle Oil and Gas explains deal with Dangote refinery for use of Lekki terminal. They said that they're not selling substandard fuel to Nigerians. This company had to respond because Dangote refinery accused it of hiring a depot next to its facility with the aim of blending substandard products to be dumped in the market. And in order to compete with Dangote refinery, it says all these allegations are untrue. Well, right there, very dirty fight in the oil industry between these companies. These allegations are weighty, and it seems Dangote is fighting literally everyone right now for the survival of his refinery, Indy.
Yeah, the point here is that, well, again, they say when the elephants fight, the grass suffers. But then again, the question is, what is the NUPRC, which is a regulatory body, upstream petroleum regulatory commission, doing? Pinnacle has come out, it's his word, Dangote's word, against that of Pinnacle. I don't see why anybody would want to shortchange Nigeria to import, substandard fuel. And it should not be Dangote's word, it should be NUPRC. You check whether you're, in fact, he made a case for willing sellers, willing buyers across the board. Even if you're importing, is your cost lower? Is it the right standard of importation? The local refineries? So whichever way it goes, if we import, refine here, and it's standard, he says, it's better for all because then it enhances, reduction in the price of petrol. So NUPRC needs to come in, not just because of now. Make sure that whoever is doing whatever he's done, it's not his word, he's just a player in the field. Whoever is doing what, there should be standards and it should be checked, it should be monitored. That's the point here.
Yeah, I mean, Pinnacle says it has a record of integrity and that it adheres to strict regulations by the industry or by regulators. But let's also remember that Dangote himself and his refinery were some months ago accused of importing substandard product that was from the Nigerian midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory agencies. Boss Farouk Ahmed, he was pummeled for saying that out loudly, and now we're here in Nkechi.
I think one of the things that's really at stake here is the battle for market share in Nigeria's deregulated petroleum industry. Pinnacle's pushing for multiple buyers and sellers aligns with global market principles, but it directly threatens Dangote's market power, right? But on the flip side, history shows that unchecked deregulation can lead to dumping of low-quality products, especially in a climate like ours where you see regulatory oversight is sort of relaxed. So there's that delicate balance between fostering competition and safeguarding consumer welfare. So I think that's what's sort of really at stake here.
Yeah, well said, Nkechi. There is that dirty fight. Everyone is trying to get a share of the market. We'll be watching that for you. Let's move to Daily Trust. Bandits abduct over 50 people in Zamfara state. That's been going on for a while. It looks like it's not letting up. They're demanding 150 million levy on residents. Can you imagine that? Residents. Well, we've known for quite a while that they've been demanding levy and taxes from residents, and that funds their activities in that part of the country, in the northern part. Tinubu world leaders congratulate Trump on election victory. 22 miners fear dead as a pit collapses in Adamawa State. Tax reform President should unite, not divide Nigeria, according to Bauchi governor. Lagbaja's death, top generals for redeployment, the national flag to fly at half-mast for 7 days. Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, has been confirmed dead, and this means there will be quite a bit of reassignment of generals. Lagbaja was 56. General Olufemi Oloyede, who was appointed in acting capacity last week, has been elevated. Well, it's said that there's no smoke without fire. There were rumors that he passed. You know, we found out later it wasn't, but now he has really passed. May his soul rest in peace. What a loss, Adesua.
Indeed. I mean, you just need to hear the eulogies that have come in for the late Chief of Army Staff for Nigeria, from the presidency to his colleagues and the Nigerian armed forces in general. He's been described as somebody who was thorough, one who was dedicated, selfless, and, you know, really put the country first. Such attributes you like to hear about someone who is in charge of Nigeria's security efforts. And that's the crux of the story, really, with the reassignment that is expected. At a time the country is facing multiple challenges when it comes to insecurity, it is hoped that this reassignment or redeployment or rejigging, whatever happens now going forward, will put into perspective the security challenge and ensure that we do not lose the battle, that the momentum is not lost, because Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja was known to bring on board his experience and his expertise. President Bola Tinubu spoke about him both locally and abroad. He has participated in various combat missions, and so he really wore the right shoes. Right. So for whoever is filling that position, it does look like big shoes to fill. So with all of this redeployment, we hope that the major crux or the major points to look at when deploying or redeploying will be that the fight against insecurity takes priority.
Right. That's why you covered that report from the State House. What was the general mood, briefly, out there?
It was somber. I think that's just the word to put it. It was somber. The Federal Executive Council meeting that had been scheduled to hold for the day was cancelled. You recall that it was President Bola Tinubu that broke the news of the death yesterday morning. And a moment of silence was observed to remember the late general who had died on Tuesday, age 56. Most of the events, all the events really at the presidential villa yesterday was cancelled.
Right. May his soul rest in peace again, and we'll commiserate with his family. Daily Sun, FG's budget deficit hits 4.5 trillion naira in 3 months. FRSC raises the alarm over growing road crashes. Zenith Bank completes IT upgrade, pledges improved service. Governors mourn, others mourn Lagbaja ex-army chief. Dangote refinery lied, again, that story. Our facility not warehousing substandard petrol, Pinnacle oil. 2 killed, others injured in Imo bomb explosion as gunmen abduct Catholic priest. Tinubu Atiku Obi woo Trump after victory. He should bring the world together, according to President Tinubu. He should restore or help restore true democracy in Nigeria, ex-vice president. World leaders react. I mean, it may be safe to say that a lot of these expectations expressed here may not materialize. Trump to help restore democracy in Nigeria? Really?
What's that? Yeah. That sounds funny.
Yes.
There's already democracy in Nigeria. So how is Trump going to restore democracy?
Well, I guess he's talking about the decline of democracy.
Trump can't do it. Trump is not a Nigerian.
Exactly.
Nobody will come and do. Nobody, you don't need an outsider to come and treat your wound or heal your deficiencies. Nigerians and Nigerians, their leaders and the led have to do it for themselves. But what is happening, of course, is what is expected, not just here in Nigeria, from both the people in power and then, of course, the opposition across the entire globe, from Israel to UK to Australia to Orban, a Trump supporter, to Rotte. You know, all of them they want to get a piece of the cake. They want to put their foot forward, you know, get a word in, because again, there's that talk about the unpredictable nature of the man called Trump. So you don't know what he's going to do, where he's coming from. So what they're trying to do is to make a pitch, you know, let's work together and all that. So he's expected, and that's what is happening. But to come and fight for democracy in Nigeria, that is hogwash.
I mean, Nkechi, this is a man, when he was in his first time in office, called African countries shithole. And so he doesn't rate the continent. This might be a wonderful opportunity actually for African leaders to refocus on their continent. Nobody's coming to save us. The earlier people understand, or Africans understand this, then the better for them, don't you think so?
Exactly, and Donald Trump is one person that always says, look, I'm putting America first. That is his number one priority. President Tinubu emphasized sort of strengthening U.S.-Nigeria ties, but a Trump presidency might lean or could mean tougher trade negotiations when it comes to that. And I just wanted to top up in this point of Trump sort of allies trying to get a word in. When you look at Netanyahu, some people are saying it's a bromance revival. Benjamin Netanyahu was sort of positively giddy, calling Trump's return a new beginning. Remember, they had this bromance thing going on during Trump's first term. But what does this then mean for the Middle East? We might now see a hardline approach when it comes to Iran, and a more sort of emboldened Israel in regional geopolitics. Then when you go over to the UK, Europe, Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron, sort of playing it safe, pledging their continued cooperation as well. But you can almost feel that sort of unease when you look at Brussels. Like I said earlier, Trump's America First policy isn't exactly music to Europeans in their ears.
It's not at all. They've always been fighting about his take on global issues, especially as it relates to NATO. The Guardian, low expectations, optimism herald Trump's second coming. FG calls for peace over Abia Akwa Ibom border dispute. Obasanjo, Jonathan, others hail Obaseki's 8th year in office. Naira remains volatile despite current account surplus, rising forex inflows. The currency is hovering around 1,600 Naira and 1,700 to the dollar. The Naira depreciation is said to be contributing to a drop in non-oil exports as import costs increasingly fall out of reach of many consumers. I mean, the biggest disadvantage of all this instability is a crisis of confidence on the Naira, as well as speculation. We see politicians and other high net worth individuals converting their funds to dollars and more stable currencies. This definitely exacerbates the situation, doesn't it, Ndi?
Yeah, indeed. In fact, I remember one time a preacher was preaching, and he said that he was telling his congregation, look, if you're not changing your money and putting it in dollars, you're far behind. So what you have here is, one, Nigeria is not selling anything across. Then secondly, the question of dollarization of the economy is still going on. People are changing their money and putting it in dollars and trading even in dollars. So that's the point here. And then, of course, there's the question of pilfering from, from the economy, the question of corruption, the question of tracking, funds that are going out through corruption. So that's what it's, in spite of the fact that remittances from diaspora is increasing, yet we're experiencing this. And then you can't rule out the question of the policy of the government's policy as it regards the Naira and the dollar. That is one big minus even for this government.
I mean, the article also tells us that the later part of this year may be better, with Dangote Refinery promising to cut demand for dollars for petrol imports. But Adesua, I mean, we're in November, the year is gone, so we might not see any appreciable movement until next year.
Indeed. A lot of takeaways from this story on The Guardian. It talks about our money problems as a country and how we keep struggling despite the several government policies, particularly the CBN, to stabilize the naira. And you recall that it's one of the economic policies of this administration that has caused the ripple effects of the economic challenges we are facing. But for me, what was concerning really is not even about the duration. It's the ripple effects of families, households, businesses. And the report paints a very stark picture of how businesses are crumbling, they're cutting back, or they're closing up completely. Households are suffering despite the intervention. So there's something definitely wrong between the policies we put in place as a government and the effects and efficiency on the people. There's no connection. So until we get that nexus, and you have to ask yourself, what is going on? Despite those policies that we keep having, we've raised interest rates to help inflation. That's not working. Why is it not working? Very recently, Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, said, there's a 90-day initiative for Nigerians to bring their unbanked dollars to the bank. I wonder how that policy is going. But again, like I said, I think the minister and those in charge of the economy are backing up the wrong tree. Right. You're speaking to the wrong people. Okay. Who are the people with these dollars? Who are the Nigerians to bring back their dollars to the banking system? Well, so all of these policies need to be looked at, tweaked, to ensure it is efficient and it hits the target.
Well, we're monitoring that for you. Let's look at the international headlines this morning. Daily Graphic, shift to holistic education. Reverend Aseret Dancer advocates knowledge, skills, and moral values. This was echoed yesterday by another high-profile Ghanaian tweaking the education system. No constitutional crisis, Speaker of Parliament assures nation. The Speaker, Alban Bagbin, said the Parliament is alive and working. Remember that litigation regarding the defection of 4 members whose seat were declared vacant has been brewing. Apparently, that case is not over. So the law is being tested here in Ghana. Nkechi, any thoughts on that quickly?
The Speaker in his words said the Parliament is alive and working. And people are saying alive, yes, perhaps. But is it functional? They've adjourned multiple times because of lack of quorum. That made the Chief Justice then had to raise that alarm, calling it a constitutional crisis. That was during a court case involving that vacant parliamentary seat. However, the Speaker says, look, there are disagreements. It's a par course in any democracy, right? But when your parliament isn't even meeting, they're not forming a quorum, the rule of law begins to look sort of a bit shaky. And let's be clear, constitutional crises don't always come with like flashing neon lights. Sometimes they can creep in. Missing deadlines, unresolved disputes, parliaments that's adjourning multiple times because they can't form a quorum. You definitely understand that there's something deeper going on.
Right. Citizen, Prince William does the Liu Hoop. The British Royal gives 10,000 Rangers training and financial support. Only 38 of Rangers have access to life insurance, while less than 60% have adequate healthcare coverage. According to William, these people are important. They are educators and community supporters. I mean, the main angle from the story that I see is that it speaks to preservation of nature and our environment, and this is particularly important to every country in Africa, including ours. The rapid urbanization that we are witnessing, it might be essential, to step back and think about how we can make sure that not all areas are gobbled up with, concrete all over the place.
Yeah, William, I'm so in love with what William has done here. Because it's very important to place value on people who do work of any sort. And these people are particularly because he said that not only protect wildlife, educators, community supporters, and they help regulate the sustainable use of natural resources. So because of it, they're taking out an insurance for them, 10,000 I think it's 10,000 Rangers, taking up.
And to run for 5 years.
5 years. Yeah, this will encourage the people. You know that if anything happens to you, your family will be taken care of. You can go all out, you know, to work, add more value to what you do. And coming from William, you know, UK, it's fantastic. You couldn't overblow it. You couldn't overemphasize what he has done. It will encourage them.
Right. On to Daily Mirror. Trump returns to power. What have they done again? Uncertainty and fear as world rocked by staggering U.S. election result. I mean, you know, it was an astonishing turn of events yesterday. And British newspapers, you know, their headlines this morning are quite dramatic. And they usually have very brutal headlines if they want. So let's scan through the headlines. Financial Times says, well, that one is simple. Trump is back. And then Daily Star, wow, this is it. Awkward. So it shows a picture of David Lammy, how it started and how it's going. So how it started, he had said that Trump is deluded, dishonest, xenophobic, narcissistic. Trump is no friend of Britain. And then now that Trump has won, he says the UK has no greater friend than the US, with a special relationship being cherished on both sides of the Atlantic for more than 80 years. So everyone is getting on board. Let's look at The Independent, the greatest comeback in US political history. The Daily Graphic, Trump's clean sweep. And then The Sun, you are rehired. Okay, that's mimicking his word. You are fired. He said to Kamala, you are fired. You know. Yeah, then Daily Mail, a comeback to Trump, all comebacks. In the end, it wasn't even close. It was a thumping win. Liberals in US and Britain left bewildered and cheerful. And The Guardian, American dread. And then The Times, Trump promises golden age after sweeping Harris aside. So the world waits for what the Trump presidency will turn out to be. That's what we have for the paper review
Indeed.
today.
I think that those newspapers aptly put the stories this morning in their headlines, and that was mimicking his show, The Apprentice. You're fired, you're rehired.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Constance Ikoko, for reviewing the papers with us this morning. And let's do this again tomorrow. But up next is the morning show. And at 10:15 a.m. West African time, you catch all the what's trending story you have missed with Oji Okpe on the morning show. I am Adesua Omoruan. Good morning.
And I am Ndi Amogo. Thanking you for watching. Bye.
Good morning. I'm Nkechi Nanga.